my God.
Alright guys, here it is. The Losi Rock Rey. I've already done a lot of work, but I'm just going to kind of go over what you have to do to get to this point, and this is why I talked about in the review video of this thing, of it being hard to work on. Okay, so not only did I have to pull off all this side stuff, you might not have to do that, but I'm pretty sure you do. And that's all this hardware right here. And then you gotta take the 6 screws out of the bottom along with the 2 screws up here to get this off. Then you gotta take the 4 screws out of the shock tower and take the shocks off to take the shock tower off. It's these 2 back here and these 2 right here. Then you gotta pull these 2 screws out of the front so you can pick the front up, and then you can actually take the cage off, right? So we'll set that aside. Now coming back over here, now this is what it looks like, but also to take this off, make sure you unplug this, and you do that by having to pull this off. This sits in here like that. You have to pull the 2 screws out, or it sits up here actually, sorry. You have to pull the 2 screws out so that you can get to your receiver. And then you have to pull this out of your receiver so that you can pull the cage off. So don't pull on the cage and rip this, you know, wire in half or whatever, because then your light bar will be jacked up. So what I'm doing, I'm going to replace the motor with this 3100 kV 4-pole brushless motor right here that is slightly bigger, but I hear that this motor is much better for crawling. It won't lag and stuff. I already pulled the ESC off, it's just those 2 screws right there, but what I am going to do is I'm going to pull the center diff out, and I'm going to pull the front diff out, and I am going to use this right here, steel stick. So this is like an epoxy type stuff that you mush together. You cut a piece off of it, you mush it together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that in the front diff. I'm not 100% sure if I want to fully lock the center diff, but I do want to fully lock the front diff. That way it's locked front and rear. That way if I do choose to leave this open, I'll probably put 1 million weight in it. But if I do choose to just put the million weight in there, it'll have even distribution, hopefully, by both sides being locked. But I might go ahead and just lock the center diff too. But I just wanted to give you guys that view. I will keep this going. I'm going to keep you in the loop about this upgrade, but that's where I'm sitting right now. And like I said, this thing is difficult to work on. Tons of different size screws, as you can see, just different size hardware all the way around, and I've had to pull out all of that stuff just to get to this point. I even took the bottom cover off, you know, the little skid plate thing, to see what I could do out of that, which is nothing. I'm going to go ahead and replace the servo too, because the servo was feeling pretty weak. And yeah, so that's where we're sitting, guys. Right on. Alright guys, here we are. We got the motor out, we got the center diff out right there. You have to take all this stuff off. It's several screws. This goes on here like that, so you got to pull that off. After pulling this off, which is what the ESC sits on back here, and then from there you got to pull 4 screws out of the bottom so that you can get this off, and then the motor just slides out of the bottom right there. As you can see, this kind of just slides over right like that. So that's how the motor mount goes together, and then it just slides out of there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the other motor on. I'm going to pull the center diff out and probably lock it up. I think I'm going to just go full lock all the way around and deal with problems if I have them. And then I'm going to pull the front diff out also. So looks like I'm pretty close with the front diff. Just probably going to have to take a couple screws out, but should be just the 4 screws on the bottom, I think. And then I'll have to pull the drive shafts off of each side. Alright guys, I'm going to get to this. Alright guys, so this is what I mean by completely tearing it down. Like, just to get the front diff out, you have to take all this apart, take the A-arms off and everything, just to get this little guy out right here. So what I'm going to do right now is I already have the center diff done. I did put the steel stick in there. So I have the center diff done. I'm letting it set up right now, but the transmission and center diff is back in and bolted in, and the rear drive line is hooked back up. So that is going to be fully locked, like steel, just solid steel gears. And I'm going to do that same thing in the front. And I'm hoping that that's not going to cause any problems, but it might. I also have the motor mounted, and all I got to do is slide it up in there. I got the gear mesh set already, and as you can see, it's got like several holes for your screws to go into, and you just have to find the right match of holes to put your screws in to make the gear mesh perfect, which took me 3 tries because it is different than the stock motor. So the stock motor holes didn't work right where they were before, but I am running the same stock 12 tooth pinion. I'm gonna keep going with this. Sorry I'm not getting real in depth on this, but I'm just trying to show you guys the phases because this is taking forever. This would be like a 4 or 5 like video series to do this whole thing, because I'm probably, I don't know, 3 maybe 4 hours deep right now. Alright, I got the front end back on, got the diff done. Gonna let this set up for at least, I don't know, 24 hours. I might even wait a couple days before I try taking this out. But I'm gonna replace the servo on this too with the XJ servos that I run, the 6221 MG. They're 20 kg, which is like almost 300 ounce-inches of torque. So I figured that's going to have a lot more than this stock one. Plus the stock one wasn't holding the tires or anything. So I'm going to get rid of the Spectrum one and put the XJ in there. I love these servos. These servos are freaking awesome. I've bought 8 of them so far. I'll probably buy another set of 4 because it's like 40 bucks for 4. Alright guys, slowly but surely coming back together. I got the servo all hooked up. The front end's all ready. Everything is on there except for the shock tower. I gotta put the cage back on before I can put the shock tower back on though. I just put the servo or the ESC mount back on. I'll be putting the ESC on here in a second. Everything else is all buttoned up and ready to go. I'll put the ESC plug right back in there and install the motor from the bottom and get this thing all wrapped up. It's looking good. Like I said, I'm gonna let that steel stick set up in both the center and front diff, and we'll see how it works. I really hope I don't have to tear this thing back down like ever again, because this is well, it's not frustrating, it's just super time consuming, and you got to keep everything neatly, well, I'm not that neat about it, but neatly kind of set up so you know what is what. Alright guys, so I'm getting the cage put back on now. I've only got a couple screws in it, but I've tested everything, tested the servo, made sure it was centered and everything, ESC and motor, gear mesh, and I'm getting all this stuff put back together and tidied up. I just gotta fold this back in and put the screws in there. But yeah, hopefully this thing is going to be a different animal now, and be able to climb a lot better with having actual all the time four-wheel drive instead of one-wheel drive every now and again. But I'm going to button this up and show you the finished product, which is going to look like it did before I tore it down. But yeah, sweet. Alright guys, here it is, all done, put back together. And let me tell you right now, I do not want to take this thing apart again. So I really hope that everything I did is just good to go. But check this out. Bam, bam, awesome turning radius. Got it nice and straight. Light bar is working. Yeah, forward's working. Reverse is working. I put the drag brake on too to make it better at rock crawling, along with the locking everything up too. And awesome stuff. The Hobby Wing program card did the programming for the Dynamite ESC, and it's the big one. It does the 12 different, you can tune 12 different things on it. So that's pretty cool. So Hobby Wing's awesome. I guess it's everything, because everything I've programmed has been with the Hobby Wing card, and I guess Hobby Wing's just in everything. Right on guys, well that took probably 4.5 to 5 hours to get completely done and everything. So please go ahead and thumb up this video if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Stay tuned to Killer Off-Road Hobbies, we got a lot more coming at you. And check out the description, you can get a shirt, you can donate to the channel, you can enter any upcoming raffles with the donations, and we're going to keep this going. Alright guys, this is Gary saying get out there, get an RC, go have some fun, and we'll see you next time. Peace.